Cultural diversity adds richness and life to a school environment. It can also pose special challenges to educators as they work to meet each student's particular set of needs. Among other variables, teachers and administrators must consider differences in culture, language, and prior schooling. Students making the transition from Haiti to American school life must contend with a unique set of challenges, including issues of language and access to education.
In Haiti, not everyone could afford the money to send their kids to a school that speaks just French or Creole. It's either you have your parents work hard, and then they could afford to send you to a school where you learn French, which is what they try to make everyone speak is French. They try to get rid of most Creole. I don't know why, but I think it would be the best to have both languages so that everyone could learn everything equal. Because there's some area where you would go, most people just speak Creole, and then they wouldn't understand what you were saying in French.
This island of La Gonave where we are on, there's over 200 schools. None of the children in these schools have parents that speak French at home, and yet all education is being done in French. So it's not surprising that that the percentages that actually succeed. So the government, if you look at Haiti today, 50% of the kids can afford to go to school. There's only 20% of the schools, a little more now, that are actual public schools. So the rest are private, which doesn't mean they're wealthy, but they're private. You have to pay something. And so 50% of the kids only are in school. And then of those 50%, they say 20% manage to get into 7th grade. There's a 6th grade national exam, and you must pass that in order to go on. Then there's a 9th grade exam, and being the French system, there's a 12th grade exam and a 13th grade exam. So they say that by the time you're trying to graduate from high school, only 2% of that population has graduated from high school. So Matanois feels that's because they're not being taught in Creole. So we've been pushing using Creole as the language of instruction. So even though we are teaching in elementary school in Creole and then introducing French as a second language, last year we sent 25 kids to the 6th grade exam and 25 passed.
Well, in the case of Haiti, I really think that means just teaching in one's mother tongue, which in Haiti is Creole. A lot of the schools here are taught in French, which is the language of the colonizers of Haiti. And although Haiti does have 2 official languages, in most homes in Haiti, Creole is the main language that is spoken. So that idea of mother tongue schools is that students should be taught in their mother tongue because that's the easiest way for them to learn.
I went to a private Catholic school, and we had to study a book that was about Christ and the Bible, but it wasn't the Bible. It was just separate sermons taken out for students, and it's like you had to memorize at least a page a day, and sometimes the pages would be like 3 paragraphs, sometimes the pages would be like 3 sentences. It all depends on what the lesson is for that day. And memorizing that was key importance because you had to recite that every morning. And in order for you to do that, and on top of every other lessons you had to do, you had math, you had science, you had French, and you'd have to memorize all of that and to recite it the next morning in front of your teacher. And the hardest part would be the fact that if you don't recite it properly, the teacher was allowed to hit you, was allowed to punish you, and your parents, and when you got home, if your parents would know, they also might punish you.
Times in the countryside, I can't really speak to the city. There is corporal punishment in the schools, so even if it's not excessive, for example, if a student comes late, they might be told to go on their knees, kneel on their knees in the sun until they're allowed to go inside, or sometimes, a little hit on the hand. So that's something that we don't do here.
School in Haiti was really different from America because in Haiti, all they teach you is you have a certain area of a reading, and you have to go home and memorize. But in the classrooms, you'd have to repeat after the teachers all the time to get the whole sentence down at once. And your homework was to go home and memorize that whole sentence, and then come back in school the next day. Everyone had to recite it back to the teacher. And if you were to not understand it, it would be a struggle for you, because you would get hit and like go back and read it again and try it again. If you don't remember, it's still the same thing. You go back and get hit.
As a child, not receiving the attention that I needed as a student, because in Haiti there's two categories. There's the smart one and average student. So I was part of the average student, and believe it or not, it was really frustrating to me as a student in Haiti, because if I didn't get something right away, I knew that a professor would never stop for me to, really understand. And even if they were to stop, they would always make me feel like, I was bothering them to ask for, more explanation, because I didn't get it as, another student that would get it in a matter of seconds, and even with no explanation. So that was something that really, marked my experience being in school in Haiti. And I feel as though if I had the attention that I required, I would have just done so much better. And coming here, it was way different, because teachers will sit down with you after school if you don't understand something, and it contributes to a better you, and which means that you'll be more successful in school.
Given these circumstances and experiences, Haitian students face special issues as they adapt to school life in the United States.
Coming from Haiti was kind of hard at the beginning for me, because I didn't know any other language but some French and Creole. But then I have to memorize, try to learn a new language in America. And then it kept me back a grade because of that, because I had to learn the language. So I think that some kids will have to use more of their knowledge to learn a new language, and then having to mix it up with their language, because some people at home, all they speak is Creole. Their parents don't speak English, so they have to split the difference between Creole and English, and I think that'll make it harder for some kids to have splitting different all the time. When they're home, they have to speak Creole, but then when they come to school, teachers teaching them English.
The language of discipline is very different between how you talk to the average American child and you talk to a Haitian child that's been a recent immigrant, or their parents are immigrants. In the Haitian culture, it's all about relationships. And so, for example, if you said, I don't want you to cross the parking lot like that, you have to follow me. If you ask the Haitian child, why did I tell you that, they would talk about, because you care about me. And where an American child might say, because I might get hit by a car. That's why you don't want me to cross like that.
When I started having a little bit of a hard time, when I did need to do extra stuff, I think in my mind, honestly, staying after school already meant I must be in trouble. So it didn't necessarily only mean, I must be dumb. It more meant if I'm staying after, I must be in trouble. And so culturally, I think that's the thing. I remember growing up in Haiti, even when I was in a school that was a little different from everyone else around me, hearing the stuff and seeing them under at night, they're under the lights outside because they got to study, and they sounded like they were just so really, it was just intense. They were so busy and they were just so invested in what they had to do. It was do or die. And I never really knew what that was like. But then if I had to stay in school, even when I was here, thinking back, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not doing as good culturally as I remember other kids saying, because now people are asking me if I need help, or I didn't do as great on a test, or what am I going to do? So I assumed even my mom would probably continue with that same culture of the Haitian culture of saying, you need to keep up with your academics. This is no if, ands, or buts. So if I didn't do well on a test even, I assumed, even if I'm not in trouble at school, I'm gonna be in trouble at home. So that's how I equated it. In middle school, it was harder because whenever they would say, do you want to stay after? I also would think to myself, I'm going to get it at home too.
I understood their culture. I wasn't having any problem in my classrooms, but as soon as they went to like the art room or the gym or music, people were always complaining about them being wild. And it was like, well, because they're not used to, at home, somebody saying like, well, how are you feeling about that, Johnny? Because that's not how they're talked to. And so in my classroom, if a kid that was Haitian started acting out, I wouldn't say, why are you acting out? What are you feeling? I would say, for example, why did your mother send you here? And then they would straighten up and they'd say, to learn. And I would say, okay, let's learn. And they would go back to their work. So, because they have this big connection with their family, they don't want to shame their family. And so that's what's going to keep them in check.
My responsibilities at home were different. I could tell from other students. For example, when I went to school, I had to go straight home. Not because my mom didn't want me to be outside and see people. It was more like my aunt was also living here. She didn't speak any English, and then so was my younger cousin. And so my responsibility was to get home and help with chores, but also to be there if a phone call or anything that needed someone to be there to speak English could do that. That was me. And then also because my aunt didn't really know any English, if anything happened while I was outside or just wasn't coming straight home, how would she, ask or take care of me? But then aside from that, kids would ask me, hey, do you want to go play? And if they lived somewhere that was 2 steps farther than the front of my house, I couldn't go. So it kind of sheltered me in that way as well. And then there was the fact that the academics, I was all right with a lot of it, but I think at times when I thought I understood something, I didn't really, because a part of my brain was trying to stick to the French style of the way I learned something.
My first day at Malden High, I cried because I went to my ESL class and I met these fellow Haitian students, and they were just not what I expected to find here, and it was really hard for me to adapt because we were from different backgrounds, so it was really hard to connect with a lot of them, and I was teased a lot for speaking French all the time because it's just considered. French is considered in Haiti as a high-end, language. So that was really hard. And in the classroom, adapting was something that was quite challenging because of the way of learning. So in Haiti, it's really strict. You follow as they say, you memorize as they say, and sometimes you don't even understand what you're studying, but you're just studying because you just have to study. But then when I came to Malden High, it was quite different. I had the chance to really learn and understand. I was learning and understanding at the same time what I was being taught. So it was just not me sitting in a classroom and just being lost sometimes with stuff that I didn't understand. And I did have high expectations from the professors, but then at the same time, it was not as intense as in Haiti. I felt comfortable with what I was learning. I felt that I was being understood, and I felt that if I had any issue, I could go to my teacher, and I know that I would understand some way, somehow. So I think that I found a lot of support when I came to Malden High School, and that contributed to me being successful and having good grades. And I was so amazed, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm really getting these stuff. And I really understand because I just had teachers that took their time to make me understand.
As educators striving to create and maintain an equitable, nurturing, and supportive environment where all students are valued and encouraged to be successful, How can we facilitate the transition to American school life for students from Haiti?
I've been here for 2 years, and I was more accustomed to, I guess, an American style of working. Since I've been here, I've noticed that the students are the same as any students anywhere else. But what I've noticed that's different, well, not much different, but I've noticed that the teachers are especially close to the students here. It's not just, a leader-follower relationship, it's more personal. So, for example, during recess, you'll see the teachers playing with the students, and I enjoy that type of culture where there doesn't seem to be a separation between those who are supposed to be in charge and those who are here to learn.
What I think is like some kids, when you try to like help them learn something and then they kind of get offensive to it. So I think the best way that would be helpful for like teachers and students is to like compare, like have a definition of a word and compare the two words in both language and have the definition in both language and help the students to like learn how to read it in both language. And I think that would be a really good help for students to like know the words means the same thing, but they just have different meanings in different languages.
What Matanoa provides is another way, because a lot of times teachers at other schools just don't even realize they have to teach them. So a lot of times they might have heard of what we've been doing, but to see it actually happen, especially with Haitian students, I think shows them that it can also happen in your school.
It's really hard for students who came with AD to be that. It's really hard for them to like change because they big experiences. They change it. Everything is different. The school, how they teach us. It's like only when I came here, it was only the math class that I like because I know math. I like math, and then it was more easier for me to do math than English or other classes.
The child you have in your classroom, not just one, but each and every one though, just kind of their background. I think it's almost like, not even a cheat sheet, but it's a great preview for a teacher to sort of know the child and what they're dealing with and help you in terms of how you're going to approach them. It's a lot of work. I'm speaking French, and some of us nowadays we're speaking Spanish, and then we're coming into this new country, and if it's not already any of those, I now have to do English, and even if for some of the students, they enjoy language, like me, for instance. The issue then becomes the academics and like trying to get used to the difference in the culture and the systems. And it's a lot also to get for students to get comfortable with their peers. And so it's a lot of things going on at once. I just think facilitators, teachers should just be more mindful of the same way you would walk into someone else's country, you'd like them to welcome you. You also wouldn't want them to, it's different if you come into somebody's country and you're like, oh hi, how are you? They say hi and then they walk away. That's fine, but it's not the same as making you feel that warm and welcome feeling, especially in a school where you spend most of your day and you're gonna be learning and you're gonna be around these people, and this teacher is sort of like another parent to you. You'd like to know that they wanna put in the effort to get to know you and to help you get to know yourself. I mean, let's be honest, when you're at school, you're not just learning about how to do math or science, you're learning about yourself and how you do socially as well as academically. I think it's great for facilitators if they notice that a child feels like they're alone in terms of maybe they don't have anything in relation to the teachers or other kids around them, that it's important to take care of helping them feel comfortable in that sense, especially because a lot of times their own parents don't really have the know or the access to help them do that. And as facilitators, I think we have a big pool of resources to help do that. And I think it's great to bring that as teachers into your classrooms. I think another thing is it's really good to know when you work at a school, for example, or even with students, that you learn about the majorities. Like if you have a high population of a certain group, even it's great to learn about their background. It's really important, because some things I remember now is you'll do something culturally that's acceptable, that you'll come in and do it in a different culture and it's totally unacceptable, and that could be the student, and sometimes it could be the teacher. I think it's important to be aware of that, because it matters. People get in trouble, and then both adults and children, and then it's because, for perspective's sake, there's a whole cultural difference.
Often, out of respect, adults and kids will look away when you're talking to them. So, and I know it's total opposite, you know, in American culture. Look me in the eye, look at me when I talk to you. And for them, it's like you're saying, insult me, you know, and it's like, what? You know what I mean? So they're kind of like a bit like this, and I think there's a lot of code switching that any immigrant kid, but what I know most is about Haitian kids. So there's a lot of code switching going on constantly. Oh, there's certain things in the Haitian culture, to call somebody a liar or you stole something is huge. Like, that's the biggest insults. And when we say like, oh, did you take that, or, you know, those words are like, aren't huge. Like, oh, you probably took that. But for them, you know, you're calling them like somebody who's a major criminal. So there's a lot of misunderstanding, I think. Here, everybody says hello to each other when they're passing on the street. So in Cambridge, when I got back to Cambridge, I was so used to doing that I started doing it in Cambridge. And it was very interesting that more often than not, if I said it to a white-skinned person, they would look at me like, is that a crazy person? I don't know you. Why are you saying hi to me? Where if I said it to a black person, they would say hi right back. And so when I told one of my good friends, who's a teacher who's from Barbados, he said, oh, you didn't know that? All black people say hi to each other. And so it sort of opened up this whole other culture in my own culture that I never knew.